just listened to a snippet of Wasters. If you enjoyed what you heard, then go and find us on any streaming site that you can think of. I hope you enjoy the music, and I hope you enjoy the video.
Hello again, boys and girls. You ready for our next reaction? We're moving on swiftly, straight from the Gojira reaction into this one. And we're gonna fucking listen to Loathe, a couple songs off Loathe's new album.
Wow.
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 Wow. we only got into Loathe like a couple months ago from our previous reaction, and we have been spinning them ever since because the fucking I Let It In, it took everything, absolutely slapped. It was my album of the year last year.
Good album.
Well, last year I discovered it at the start of this year, so it's so far is my album of the year, even though it was released last year. Is what I meant to say. This new one, I listened to a few tracks off of it, and I was like, we gotta react to this shit. So, without further ado, I'm not gonna say anything. I've tried my best not to spoil Ben, so let's just fucking do it, mate.
Quiet.
It's quite pretty. Doesn't really remind me of like anyone else. It's quite a unique sound.
That's quite nice. It was like a. It's very dreamy.
Huh?
Very dreamy.
Yeah. Just let it play.
I'm half expecting like a or something to like.
Yeah, so was I.
Who's John Ware?
John Ware? Well, he still have still 76 listeners. Well, anyway, Ben, I'm just gonna cut to the chase.
Is it an instrumental album? I like that.
I mean, yeah.
But like, what? What?
Yeah, the whole album's like that. It's an ambient album.
What? So like,
they took like the interludes off of the previous album and were like, let's do a whole album of it. So I'm guessing like
this feels like one of the guys like wanted a spin-off or something, like,
Yeah.
or like they wanted to, like, because you know, I mean, the thing is, right, when it comes to this kind of stuff, is that like aesthetically, it doesn't really, or like not aesthetically, but like thematically or anything like that, like with the actual music, it doesn't fit with the band because it doesn't fit with their previous stuff.
I mean, they did have these like ambient bits like in between, like for example at the end of Two Way Mirror.
Yeah.
And they have an instrumental version of their previous album too, which I haven't listened to. I imagine probably. But at the end of Two Way Mirror, like, it does have that sort of vibe.
Yeah. You know, but I think that goes with the rest of the song, which is already quite shoegazy.
Yeah, I seem to remember, like, Sad Cartoon with Briars is much like that as well.
Which is great. Like, to be honest, I don't dislike that kind of music.
I don't dislike it at all, but I was massively disappointed when I listened to that album.
Yeah, I feel like this could have warranted like a spin-off sort of, or like a separate band kind of thing. You know, I mean, the XX like have Jamie XX when he wants to do his separate stuff, which is like less vocally focused on the other two, who are, you know, the guy and the girl who's singing the XX, and more just like his like DJing, like production kind of stuff. So it's a separate thing, and he's already like, you know, I mean, some of his stuff like Gosh and other songs that he's done as well, you know, like fucking slappers and stuff, but they're slappers in their own right, and they're that, like his thing. Yeah, I felt like that would have definitely, and you know, like LOATHE have been getting really big recently, so it's not like they couldn't have done that and been like, hey, this is a new side thing called, I don't know, whatever band fucking name they wanna name it, or even like one of the singer, like whoever produces this kind of stuff could have just put their own name to it and then just been like, this is a separate thing. But to, like, to attach your band's name to it, I don't know.
Also like the fact that they like, this was like a surprise album. Like they announced it like a few days before it came out, and not a few days, like a few weeks.
Yeah.
And obviously everybody got really hyped because they thought it was going to be more of the same, right? Or similar. But then this was completely out of left field. I feel like I don't have an issue with them releasing it as LOATHE, because at the end of the day, like, it is a sound that they utilize in LOATHE. Yeah. But I do feel like maybe it should have had a bit of like warning that it was an ambient album, rather than, because like even like down to like the album art is similar to the album art of the previous album. Like the name, like the things they believe, I let it in, it took everything. Like they're both like quite long form names, so it really sets you up to think that it's going to be more of the same, when it really isn't. And yeah, like individually, these songs are quite nice. Like that one I was playing before with the sax, which I think was Love in Real Time. Yeah, was nice. It's a nice song, but as you said, like it just not what I or anybody else I think was expecting.
The thing is, like, you know, and like again, if it was any other band that did this as well, like, you know, I mean, Gojira have like had, you know, going off of, you know, our last review with Gojira, they have had songs that are like, you know, instrumentally and stuff that's like around their sounds that's quite spacey and stuff. They released if they were releasing Fortitude recently, and the whole album was like that, like how fucked off would everyone be? Yeah. Like, I mean, a little bit of a difference because obviously there's like a 5-year gap, and these guys released this like a year after. So I think if they prefaced it by saying like, look, I mean, they might have, I don't follow them on all their socials.
About it. They just said we got a new album.
They just said we got a new album. Okay. So if they prefaced it by saying like, look, this is kind of like a side thing, this isn't like a main event, this is like a, like, you know, chill out, have a zoot and, you know, sesh because it's like ambient sounds or whatever, I'd be like, cool, not for me personally, but, you know, whoever's into that, like crack on sort of thing.
Yeah. Bring Me the Horizon did a very similar thing with this music to listen to, dance to, blaze to, pray to, all that shit. This is similar sort of vibes.
What, where it's just kind of
it's
like,
more like electronic stuff, completely different to all their other stuff. Yeah. And it's like, But when they released this, like again, this came out the same year as Amo did, which was a very traditional Bring the Horizon.
Yeah.
And then they released this, but they prefaced it like, look, this is a separate thing. We were just having fun doing our electronic stuff.
Yeah.
Like we just decided to make this because why not?
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And Loathe have done literally the exact same thing. I just think that the way that they went about it,
I think they marketed it really badly.
Yeah.
And like when you're like, I mean, look, I'm not like an advertiser or like a producer or anything like that, so I can't really say like for their longevity or whatever. But as a band that's like just starting out, like, or not just starting out, but like just sort of getting into the mainstream and like getting into people's consciousness, the last thing you want is to like release a thing that's like, this is our album, and like people get like hyped for it, like because they're like, oh, I just found like Two-Way Mirror and stuff, that was sick, let's listen to this whole thing, and then for it to be basically like a lot different than like your other work. You know, again, they
and
already...
not only is it a lot different, it's like not many people sit and listen to ambient music in their own time. It's like so not only is it very different, it's also in a genre that is like quite avant-garde and out there that a lot of people don't just spend their time listening to. And so like, and you know, like at the end of the day, like it's a sad stereotype, but it's true. There are a lot of metalheads who are like, we only listen to metal because it's only good music. It's only heavy and mean monkey brain and stuff. So then you go and release like the polar opposite, right? Like those people are going to be salty as fuck. And I've seen a lot of angry boys commenting about this album.
Really?
Like all of the comments on the YouTube comments were like, what the fuck were they thinking?
Oh shit, yeah.
Let's have a look actually. I think hopefully let's look at this one. Like
this is like some likes are
turned
okay. Oh, the comments are turned off though.
Let's see. Oh, it's because it's a topic thing, I think. Topic always has the comments turned off. Oh, that's a shame. But yeah, I saw a few people talking about it before the videos got removed from YouTube, and all the comments were just like, what is this?
You mad prick.
Yeah, exactly. I've like this guy obviously feels the same way.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day,
surprised. Wow, that text is awful. A surprise ambient album from Loathe. Yeah.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, like, I'm not, like, super fucking butthurt and disappointed because, like, you know, they can do whatever they want at the end of the day, and, like...
And they released it as a surprise, and they released it shortly after a previous one. It's not like it's taking away from... another
well,
album.
that's it as well. Like I'm sure if this was like if we waited like maybe a year or 2 years and that was like the first thing we'd heard for ages, I feel like it'd be a more like, oh fuck, like but because it came out as like a surprise thing, I mean, it's fine, it's cute, like it's whatever, but like at the end of the day, like as long as they like go back to form and like they're gonna be doing the stuff that they normally do or better, you know, because we don't know, like, you know, how their sound's going to change. Which is another interesting topic as well, is when a, like, song of a band gets, like, super popular, like, really popular, how often is it that we see bands, like, lean into that or, like, continue to do their thing?
Like, adjust their sound based on that.
It's going to be very, very interesting because, I mean, you know, like, Two-Way Mirror is on the same album as, like, New Faces in the Dark and everything like that,
got, like,
right?
twice as many
But
listens.
it's got more, like, so many more listens, and, like, a lot of people in the comments when we were doing our last video were saying, like, oh, I love this shoegazy sound, like, I don't like the screamy stuff, and like, look, you're entitled to your opinion, but it's wrong. The screamy stuff is awesome. But, like, I wonder, like, because of that reception, like, how much they want to, like, sort of go into that. It's going to be really, really fascinating seeing their progression, and if a lot of their songs are going to be more singy based and like a lot like Deftonesier rather than like metalcore. It's gonna be really interesting.
In my head though, like any band that makes music that visceral and heavy and chunky isn't gonna just on the flip of a dime be like, Yeah, but abandoning that entirely. Like, maybe they'll strip it back and have less of that and more of the two-way mirror sound on their next album, but I doubt that they'll get rid of it entirely.
I mean, again, looking back at Gojira, right, they didn't, like, completely lose their sound, but after the one before Magma, was it
L'Enfant
Sauvage, where that was, like, slightly stripped down on, like, the heavier sounds and going for a little bit more of, like, the kind of mainstreamy kind of
rock
vibe.
vibe.
Like, I think that influenced, like, what they did, like, because that album was, you know, relatively, like, quite popular, I presume.
Yeah.
And that started to seep, like, for them to seep more into mainstream, and then obviously they released Magma, which is kind of along the same vein, right? So I'm wondering if that'll, like, influence, you know, because at the end of the day, like, yeah, there are bands, and some bands do whatever the fuck they want no matter what, like, people say, but, like, you know, if it didn't, like, sway them in some way, you know,
I mean, at the end of the day, like, yeah, you're making it as art, and yeah, you're doing it because you want to make what you want to make. But at the end of the day, like, if you're a new band and one of your songs is getting twice as many listens as the others, and
you're gonna take notice, right?
Obviously, they love Two-Way Mirror because it's very Deftones influenced. That's one of their biggest influences. They said they love it to bits. Like,
did you see the fucking
Chino Moreno shared it? Yeah, exactly.
That's. I mean, imagine. I don't know if if they've said before that Deftones are a huge influence or what.
Yeah,
I'm not
I think
sure.
they have. Yeah.
But, like, imagine, like, one of your heroes, like, sharing one of your songs. Like, I'd fucking cry. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's mad.
Exactly. So it's no surprise. Like, you can't fault anyone for pursuing, like, continuing to focus on what does well. I think any band, like, sure, there's a good side to staying true to you and doing what you want to do and artistically and stuff. But at the same time, like, I think any band needs to evolve or die, right?
Yeah.
And you should try and move towards what people like.
Yeah.
And I feel like being able to straddle that line between, like, keeping the fans that brought you up in the first place and really were with you since day one happy, while also evolving and capturing a new sound and bringing in a bigger audience. Is the golden.
That's the thing.
The golden line, right?
Yeah. And you know, I mean, even if, like, you know, even if there's, like, a couple of songs on your new album or whatever, that's like more on the heavier side, and most of it's like the singier side. At least you're kind of trying to sort of straddle that line. Again, we went back to it a couple of times because we just listened to it, but the Gojira song we listened to, like, I think they did that really, really well. It had elements of Magma, it had elements of like their other stuff, like In Serious, and like yeah. So
I mean, yeah, like, sticking to Loathe, like, I really do think that I'm pretty confident they're gonna do more two-way mirror style stuff in the future, especially given that, like, this is, like, such a big departure from this. Obviously, like, they're not afraid to make decisions like that.
Yeah.
I just hope that, like, obviously they're gonna get a lot of backlash about this. I mean, we're very reasonable people, and we were both like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
People who are more stereotypical metalheads there's going to be a big backlash, and I think there has been a big backlash about this album. So I hope that they stick to their guns and it doesn't put them off.
Yeah, I mean,
experimentation's always a good thing.
I'm straight up, like, not really gonna. I mean, I might give it a listen, like, once, just to be like, oh, that was cute.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much it.
I have, like, no interest in this at all.
No.
Like, when I discovered it, I skipped through each track. I was like, there's got to be, like, something different in this,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
but
like,
no.
he's got to sing in one of them or something, but
no,
that's a shame. But yeah, that's, I guess,
maybe, you know, there's going to be plenty of people finding this album and absolutely loving it.
Yeah,
and they're going to be introduced to, and if that's more people listening to Alitten and Took Everything and enjoying the more aggressive sounds and becoming a metal
imagine,
convert,
like,
which I can't imagine would be.
I was going to say, imagine someone, like, listening to ambient sounds or something whilst they're doing, like, an art projects, and they're like, oh wow, this is beautiful. What's their other album like? And they're just like, like, the crunchier sounds. They're just like, oh
my god. They go from, like, fucking relaxing lo-fi music to study and work to like, just fucking moshing in their bedroom. Like. Anyway,
perfect balance.
I think that's all we have to say on the matter.
Yeah, shame, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is.
Wang. Anyway, if this reaction gave you a chub,
Like and
chub
subscribe.